Hey, this is my 5th update now. I made an update the other day, but it was just me rambling, so this is me doing it again. Not really much has happened. I'm still waiting for my next appointment, which is on the 30th of September, and so just over a month and a half to go. Until then, I'm really excited about that. Should be a bit easier for me to go in and talk about myself, because a few more of the staff are now labelling me as male as well, which is really cool. More recently, I've been able to correct people on my gender, so they've labelled me as female, and I've felt a lot more comfortable with turning around and being like, no, I'm not female, I am actually male. One example was today. One of the customers was like, should be Tarquinia, I think he said. Tarquinia, not Tarquinius. I was like, why is that? And he was like, well, Tarquinius is the male and Tarquinia would be the female. I was like, I am male. He's like, oh, well, I'll believe you, but thousands wouldn't. I said to him, I was like, why would thousands not believe me? He was like, well, your voice, and he just sort of gave this expression sort of thing. He was like, your voice. And I said, well, I have a hormone deficiency, which is the first time I've ever used that excuse. Sometimes I will just turn around and be like, yeah, I'm a trans man. One customer turned around today, and he said a sentence and I didn't quite catch him, and he was looking around, he said it again, and I assumed that he was asking about the company, and he was like, oh, I hear you're going for or through blah blah blah. I thought he was asking if Weatherspoons were going for a particular place in Edinburgh, because I know that Weatherspoons are bidding on some places, and we've got a place the other side of town, so I assumed that he was asking about that, and I was like, no idea, because I didn't quite catch what he said. I didn't want to ask him again. It was one of those times where he'd already said it at least twice, and I didn't want to ask him a third time what he'd said. And then he was like, and then he started talking about something that he'd seen on TV, and about a sex change, and then I realised that's what he'd said. He'd actually said, I hear that you're going through a sex change. I was like, oh, sorry pal, I didn't hear what you'd said. Yes, I am. And he was like, oh, I think that's really brave, because I saw something on TV about one of the operations, and I asked him, like, what operation? He was like, and he sort of stuttered. I was like, female to male or male to female? And he was like, female to male. I was like, alright, top or bottom surgery? And he said, bottom surgery. I was like, alright. He was like, yeah, I was, this program was going through how they take a skin graft, and like he explained what he'd seen. I said, yeah, like, it's a scary process. He was like, yeah, it's really brave. And he was like, is that what you're going through? And I was like, well, not quite. I don't plan on having bottom surgery. Top surgery, yes, but bottom surgery, no. Hormones, definitely yes. But yeah, it was so out of the blue. I didn't expect that from him, but it was quite comforting how accepting of it he was. And he was from an older generation as well, so it was really comforting. There was a customer the other day, he was talking about football with one of the other guys at work. They were trying to name one of the cups, and it turned out it was the English Premier League, and I was like, well, is that not just the Premier League? Obviously, because I'm from England and they're from Scotland. And as I was walking down the bar, he was like, oh, you wouldn't understand, you're a woman. I was like, whoa, what? I was like, two things wrong with that. One, why wouldn't a woman understand about football? That's so sexist, such a sexist opinion. And two, I'm not a woman, I'm a man. And he was like, you're a woman though. I was like, no, I'm a trans man. He was like, oh, well that would explain a lot. I was like, what makes you think that I'm a woman? And he said that my voice, the way I act, and the way I look all point to me being a woman, which kind of upset me a little bit inside. I was a little bit hurt by that, but it just made more concrete about my own feelings towards my trans label, and the fact that for the past 2 years, 3 years, I've always said, like, yes, I'm trans, but I don't feel like I'm a trans man until I'm on hormones, which I won't be for a while. And over the past year, I've said to people, like, I would prefer male pronouns, but I understand if you can't read me as male because I know I don't look like a male. And I shouldn't really say that because it actually really bugs me when people label me as female. Also, it's a lot more difficult for me to correct people and turn around and say I am male, because in my head I'm not male. I am a male presenting person, but in my head I'm neither male or female. I am genderqueer, and it's a lot more difficult to turn around and say to somebody that I'm male, because at the end of the day, in my head I'm not. I'm working in the Queen's Hall, and that's really good for two reasons. The Queen's Hall, I'm Hall Assistant is my title, and male is my title as well. So they all read me as male, and it's a little bit odd because they're the only group of people that I know that all label me as male, and sometimes they turn around and I'm one of the guys. It still catches me off guard, and it's really surreal. It's like, wow, like these guys actually read me as male. It's amazing. I'm still terrified of going to the toilet, because for me public toilets are the one place that I could be outed as trans male, because I have an STP, but I can't use it. It just doesn't work. So I just go into the cubicles, and whenever I'm out anywhere, at a club or anything, I think there's 2, maybe 3 places that I go out and drink in, and I know the male toilets, so I know I know exactly where I'm going. But one of the places, there is only one cubicle, and I was out the other night, we went there, and I said to one of the guys that I was with, he knows that I'm trans, and I just said to him, he was going to the toilet, and I said, can you do me a favour, can you see if the cubicle's free? He was like, yeah, sure. And he says, right, there is a cubicle, but there's somebody in there at the moment. I was like, that's fine, that's cool. So I waited, and I could see sort of into the toilets, and I knew exactly where the cubicle was, and I could see that the door was closed whenever somebody went in. And then at one point someone came out of the cubicle and came out, so I was like, right, that's my cue to go. But I was still terrified because there's no lock on that door, and also that was the place where the only place I've ever had any trouble with going into the male toilets. I had a bouncer come and kick the door down basically and accuse me of being in the wrong bathroom and asking why the fuck I was in there. And I tried to explain to him that I was a trans man, and he was like, that's no excuse, you shouldn't be in here. And then he went out, spoke to one of the bar staff who was like, it's fine, like, what's the problem? But I was very angry, very upset, very shook up. So I try not to go in to those toilets. I tend to steer clear of that bar as much as possible, but it is a good bar. Most of the time I feel more comfortable, not so much more comfortable, but safer to go into the female toilets, which just makes me really upset and really sad. But hopefully when I start testosterone, I'll get over that fear a little bit more, because I'll feel like I look more male, so I will be seen to fit in better. Oh, and I'm moving in with my friend Bex, who's also one of my bosses at Wetherspoons. Should be really cool. She's really cool. I'm really excited. I'll be moving out of this flat in 6 months, so that's really good. Right, I'm gonna go. There was lots of other things that I spoke about in my other video. Fringe Festival is going on at the moment, which is really ace. Only been to see a few things. There was some other shit I was talking about, but it's just ramblings. Thank you for watching. I don't know how many people actually view these. On my other videos it's been like 4 or 5 people have viewed it. So, but thank you to those few people that do watch it. I don't know why you do, but hey ho, thank you. And if anyone has any questions, anything that you want to ask me, just comment. So yeah, catch you later. I'm freezing, by the way. Very cold.